Okay, everybody, let's talk about the rules of exponents. But first, do you even know what an exponent is? By dictionary definition, an exponent is a quantity representing the power to which a given number or expression is to be raised, usually expressed as a raised symbol beside the number or expression. Now that we know what it is, let's begin with the product rule. The product rule says that if you have like bases, you need to add the exponents together. For example, if you have y to the power of 7 multiplied by y to the power of 3, you would add the exponents to get y to the power of 10. However, if you have something like 5x squared times 8x cubed, you would need to set it up like so. 5 times 8, x, 2 plus 3. Then, you would follow the order of operations to get 40x raised to the power of 5. Next is the quotient rule. Say you have x raised to the power of 9 over x raised to the power of 4. In order to figure this out, you would subtract the exponents, x, 9 minus 4. This would get you x raised to the power of 5. You can also do this with regular numbers. For example, you have 7 raised to the 6th power over 7 cubed. What do? You take the base of 7 and subtract the 6 and the 3 to get 7 cubed. When you do this, you never divide the bases when they're the same one. If you had different bases, then you would divide them, but that's the only time you'd mess with them. A third rule is the power to a power rule. Let's say you have this equation, 4y squared, x to the 7th power cubed. First, you would need to distribute the outside exponent to every single base inside the parentheses. Then, when you do that, you multiply the exponents together and get your final answer. When you do all of this, you get 4y raised to the 6th power and x to the 21st power. That is your official answer. Another important rule to remember is what happens when you have an exponent of 0. No matter what the number is, if you have an exponent of 0, the answer is always 1. Always! You could have 2,968 to the 0 power, and it would still come out to 1. You have to remember that. The fourth and final rule is negative exponents. You know, exponents aren't hard till you come across these. Basically, what you have to do is you need to take the reciprocal of the base with the negative exponent and make the exponent positive. Maybe this would be easier to understand through an example? If you have 2 negative squared, you would need to turn it into 1/2 squared. That way the negative goes away. We don't want to leave the problem like this, though. For lack of a better word, it's an ugly problem. So, what do? We need to square the 2 in the fraction. Then, we would get a full answer of 1/4. If you have a variable instead of numbers, it would be practically the same thing. You just wouldn't do anything to the variables. If you had x to the negative 3rd power, what would be the answer to something like that? Well, remember, you gotta use the reciprocal. The answer would be 1 over x cubed. Why? Because 1 over x is the reciprocal of x, and you need to still have the power of 3 in there because we don't know what the amount of the variable is. I hope that makes sense. If it did, great! Now you know the rules of exponents. In my opinion, exponents are real easy, but sometimes you've got to be careful. Like I said, negative exponents might get to your head. I know they get to mine sometimes, but that's why you got a teacher there to help you understand it better. These rules shouldn't be hard to remember, but if you forget them, remind yourself to review them with your mini book. Good luck with exponents!